Keys were lost. About 3 weeks ago, one of my older kids took the van out for the night but ended up staying at his mom's on the couch. Around 7 a.m. the next day, another kid asked to use the van. I pinged the air tag only to find out it was hours away in an industrial section of another town. I was quite concerned about why my kid was out there. I called him up, and he was at his mom's where he said he'd be. He had no idea the van was missing. I called the police and gave them the location of the van. Within 20 minutes, they had stopped the van, and the driver said he had permission to use it. Lo and behold, it's my ex-wife's boyfriend. The police weren't very interested in detaining him as it would be easier for him to just drive the van back to our town, and we could sort it out here. However, it wasn't my van, nor was he listed on the insurance to drive it, so I asked that it be impounded. In Canada, we can't press charges, but I was adamant that this was theft and that I wasn't going to let it go. Since the guy was out of town with no ride, the police did end up detaining him, probably because it was easier. I was given info for the yard where the van was impounded, and since we had the next day off, my wife and I drove out to the yard to pick it up. When we got there, I first checked for any damages since it was sitting a little low. The outside didn't have any problems, but when I checked inside, I found that it was loaded with industrial fasteners and cable, think seismic mitigation. Turns out, the boyfriend used my wife's van to pick up stuff for work. My wife turns on her heels and walks to the office. I had to jog to keep up. She then asks who has access to the van. They say they have the only set of keys, so my wife is assured that only she or I can get access to the van. At this point, I get where she's going with this. I tell them, okay then, make sure you don't give the keys to anyone else if they show up. I had $35 with me, so I gave it to them as a tip. They promised me that no one would get in there, and they actually moved the van into a secured area within the yard. Then we went home without the van. We weren't even home from the long drive when I got the first text from the boyfriend about getting the equipment. I explained that we left the van as there were expenses we were not going to pay like towing, impounding fees, daily storage. I told him that he'd have to pay for them before I pick up the van. He was super mad and swore he would pay me back, but I said no way and hung up. Within an hour, I got a call from his boss. They needed the equipment ASAP for a time-sensitive job. I explained that it was impounded and that I wouldn't have time to get it until next week now. And I wouldn't go unless they paid in advance. The boss swore up and down at me. I calmly explained that I didn't steal a vehicle to transport his stuff. The boss was having none of that, so I said I won't tolerate that abuse and hung up. Then I blocked him and his company on every platform I'm reachable on.